Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. We will continue the discussion on Srila Prabhupada's purport. So this is a very nice section. We'll see what Prabhupada has to share with us. Kapilo Vaja Atayo Grahamediya Dharmanam eva vasan grihe kamam artham cha dharmanam swan dogdi bhuyah vipratitan. The personality of God itself, the person who lives in the center of household life, derives material benefit by performing religious rituals and thereby he fulfills his desires for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again he acts in the same way. This is what Lord Kapila is telling about a living entity. Of course, this is based on the level of consciousness. We should be very clear about it. They are very elevated in terms of consciousness. That's why they are doing performing religious activities. It is not just they're enjoying grossly. They're quite pious people. That's why the enjoyment is also performing religious rituals and thereby fulfilling desires for economic development. That means they are not taking credit cards, no loans. They are doing religious performances to become economic development. That means they are pay before. This is like debit card. You already earned it, then you are spending it. That's how it used to work previously. Now, what people are doing, they do sense gratification and they are paying it later. All the loans and EMIs and all is in one way that we enjoy and then pay. It is more painful. You already paid for it, then you enjoy it's more easy. We all have this experience. There are two kinds of holders. One is called Grihamedi and other is called Grihastha. The objective of Grihamedi is sense gratification. And the objective of the Grihastha is self-realization. Here the Lord is speaking about the Grihamedi or the person who want to remain in this material world. His activity is to enjoy material benefits by performing religious rituals for economic development and thereby ultimately satisfy the senses. He does not want anything more. Such a person works very hard throughout his life to become very rich and eat very nicely and drink. By giving some charity for pious activities, he can go to the higher planet atmosphere in the heavenly planets in the next life. But he does not want to stop the repetition of birth and death and finish with the concomitant miserable factors of material existence. Such a person is called Grahamedi. So this person is quite interested to enjoy in this moment and they are expert in enjoying also. They know how to enjoy, what payment you have to make to enjoy. And such a person is Grahamedi. And actually the word Grahamedi is not wrong word. It's the right word only. He is very good person in terms of performing his rules, regulations and everything. That's why in some of the Shastras, when the word Grahamedi is used, it is used in a positive way. It's very good person. He's religious. He's paying the price and enjoying. He's not just enjoying. But it's a relative if term in terms of when we are considering a person going on the path of Nivritti Marga, if he's aspiring to go to spiritual world, then this word Grahameti becomes a negative. It gives a negative connotation because he is interested in how to enjoy in this material world. So for them, he is like is a fallen soul. But in a normal way, he is a very good person. Grahastha is a person who lives with family, wife, children, relatives, but has no attachment for them. He prefers to live in family life rather than as a mendicant or sannyasi, but his chief aim is to achieve self-realization or to come to the standard of Krishna consciousness. Here, however, Lord Kapil Dev is speaking about Grahamedis who have made their aim the materialistically prosperous life, which they achieve by sacrificial ceremonies, by charities, and by good work. You see, what all things Grihamedi is doing? He's not doing any sinful activities. He is doing sacrificial ceremonies, charities, and good work only. So this is to get materially prosperous life. This is a good person in terms of material standards. They are posted in good positions, and since they know that they are using up their assets of pious activities, they again and again perform activities of sense gratification. It is said by Prahalad, Punah Punah Charvita Charvanana. So now when they are given a negative connotation, in when they, it's a relative thing in terms of that they are not interested in self-realization. They want to be happy in this material world. That's the reason they are showed in that light. But otherwise, Grihastha is a good person. Grihamedi is also very good person. You cannot call anybody Grihamedis. Not whoever you are seeing the family members, they are not Grihamedis. They are all sinful people. Grihamedi is a person who is performing sacrifices, who is giving charity, who is doing good work. He is only Grihamedi. All these people, they don't even come under the category of Grihamedi also, whomever we are seeing around. So again and again they experience the material pangs, even if they are rich and prosperous, but they do not want to give up this kind of life. So this is Sachapi Bhagavad Dharmat Kama Mood Paranmukha Ajate Krutubhir Devan Pitranscha Shraddhayanvitaha. Such persons are even bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification. So, this is why they are condemned because they are too attached to sense gratification. Even if they are doing some things for the Lord, it is not devotional service, pure devotional service. They are just interested in the Lord. They are interested in their own work and they want to have the Lord. Like we want to have good contacts because if we have big people in contact, especially countries like in India, you have a good reach of very big people, then you can get your things done. You can make things like one boy he stays with me, he has good contacts, and one of his friend he wanted to purchase a very big car, and the waiting period was 1.5 year for the car. You order it and you get after 1.5 year. So he has very good contacts. He just made one phone call and then they got the car in 3 days. So that is the benefit of I'm just giving an example. So the point what I want to tell is that these people they want to be in contact with the Lord to get their things done. It's not for the Lord, but for themselves only. They are doing of any activity. That's why Balaji in Tirupati he closes his eyes. He says these people are so selfish. They are just interested in themselves. They don't bother what I want. They are only bothered about themselves. They feel what is the God if he is not able to fulfill my desires? Otherwise, how can he be God and why I need such God who don't fulfill my desires? That is, that's why they are bereft of devotional service. Even they look that they are going to temple regularly, they have some worship at home, then they are doing so many activities, pious activities, charity, but ultimately it is for themselves only. And therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices, you see, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna conscious devotional service. They are very good people, but they live for themselves. That is the thing. So, Prabhupada is telling it is said that persons who worship demigods have lost their intelligence. Kama isthar hitajnana. They are much attached to sense gratification and therefore they worship demigods. It is of course recommended in various scriptures that if one wants money, wealth, and education, then he should worship the various demigods. A materialistic person has manifold demands, And thus they are manifold demigods to satisfy his senses. The Grahamedi, who wants to continue a prosperous materialistic way of life, generally worship the demigods or forefathers by offering pinda or respectful oblations. Such persons are bereft of Krishna consciousness and are not interested in devotional service to Lord. They do all these things. See, they are very pakka in doing it. My father, he does this offering oblations to forefather. He does for my grandmother, my grandfather, both of them, and he does for my grandmother's mother and my grandmother's father also. Because my grandfather is adopted, uh, that's why he does for two generations. And yearly four times he does. He does for my grandmother, my grandfather, and grandmother's mother and father also, like that. So they are very religious and very pakka. And we wanted him to shift. Like I was staying Pune at the time. I said, "You come here, stay." He said, "I don't get any brahmanas there because he is very particular that they should be Sri Vaishnava brahmanas only. Then only they'll be uh, he will be able to perform his ritual properly." And that's why he stayed back in Hyderabad, because that is one of the main reason. He said, "I want to perform this. I don't get Sri Vaishnava." So they are very religious. Such a person are bereft of Krishna conscious, are not interested in devotional service to Lord. Of course, he chants, he performs his devotion. But other people, like in the same family, what I am telling is they're very religious, but they're not interested in bhakti. Even my father's brothers and all, they're they do all these things very nicely, but they're interested in not in Lord. No way. This kind of so-called pious and religious man is the result of impersonalism. That means they are not treating the Lord as a person. So what Prabhupada did is something very special. The impersonalists maintain that the Supreme Absolute Truth has no form, that one can imagine any form he like for his benefit and worship in that way. So after the Shankaracharya's philosophy, many of them became more materialistic. Because according to Shankaracharya, it's all impersonal only. So then any form is okay. You like Ganesh, you like this, you like that, whatever you want, you get fulfilled, and any form is ultimately no form only. So now if it works with Ganesh, you do with Ganesh, and it works with. That is the reason we got many demigods and many demigod worshippers. Therefore, the Grahmedis or the materialistic men say that they can worship any form of a demigod or worship as worship of the Supreme Lord. Especially among the Hindus, those who are meat eaters perform the worship of goddess Kali, because it is prescribed that one can sacrifice a goat before that goddesses. They maintain that whatever one worships, uh, the goddess Kali, sorry, they maintain that whether one worships the goddess Kali or the Supreme Personality God Vishnu or any demigod, the destination is same because it's ultimately impersonal. This is called, this is first class rascaldom. So Prabhupada is so upset with this. And such persons are misled. But they prefer this philosophy, and Bhagavad Gita does not accept such rascaldom. It is clearly stated that such methods are meant for persons who have lost their intelligence. Kama is the hita jnana. The same judgment is confirmed here, and the word kama mudha, meaning one who has lost his sense or is infatuated by the lust of attraction for sense gratification, is used. Kama mudha, or bereft of Krishna conscious and devotional service, and is infatuated by a strong desire for sense gratification. Bhagavatam is condemning the demigod worship. Condemning in the sense, it is condemning the motivations. That is why we go to demigods. I want to get my things done, then I need somebody's help. I know it won't work with Krishna, then I will go to somebody else. So basically, this mentality is condemned. We are so much into our own pleasure, our own sense enjoyment, then we will definitely go, we whatever works, we will take it. And then what happens? Then we lose the purpose of life. Say, now I want to get my son into a good college. Then what I'll do, he don't have good marks, I don't have very good money. Then I will go and take help of some politician. He recommends and we get a college. Now what I did, I'm more interested in my own personal things. They don't mind to go to a politician to get his recommendation to get a seat for my son in the college. I am not now whether it is right or wrong. Yeah, it is right only for one level. Why? Because you have to ultimately get your son educated. Then it is right only. No, you can take help of a politician. After all, we have voted for you and we made him the politician. Now, this is not wrong at one level. Now, what is the problem is, then what is the problem if I go to a demigod? He is also getting things done. He will also do for me things. I am not well. What is the problem is that mentality is the problem, that we are taking help of the fallible personalities and forgetting the purpose of life. It is the purpose of life is not to get your son engineering seat or not to get good health. Purpose of life is to get out of this material world. So that is actually forgotten. So that is what is reminded. Lord only gave that facility for demigods, right? They are given the power. Uh, and Krishna is only telling, I am only trying to make your faith strong and demigods. He is only doing that. He is only giving the facilities. He is only giving the energy to demigods. And then why it is condemned here? Because ultimately it is making us continue to stay in this mental world. That's the reason it is condemned. It's not the because we need help and parasparam bhavayantam. The Krishna is telling, okay, that by mutual cooperation you can prosper. I go and I vote for the politician, I campaign for the politician, and when time comes, he will also help me. If I have to get some projects from the government, he will. There will be some consideration because I work for him. Same thing. If I do something for the demigods, and demigods will also work something which is in their capacity, they will also do for me. So that is not wrong in one level because that's how we can survive. But when it comes to the ultimate purpose of self-realization, there we should be very clear that no, I cannot go to anyone, only Supreme Lord, because I don't want to settle in this metal world. When the purpose of life is very clear that you don't want to settle in this metal world, it's not worth settle here, then we will definitely go for a higher thing. We don't take. Now for them, we had to wake them up. Then we had to tell them this is all bogus. Then he wakes up to reality. So तच्छ्रद्धहया क्रान्तमतिः पितृदेवः व्रतः पुमान् गत्वा चन्द्रमसं लोकं सोमपापू पूर्ण Such materialistic persons attached by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods can be elevated to the moon. See, he is very devoted. For whom? Forefathers and demigods. He is not just very grossly materialistic person. He is quite pious person. It's a grahastha. And then only he will be elevated to moon planets. Not as joke to go to moon planet. They really need to do hard work in terms of devoted to forefathers and demigods. Very, very pakka in their rituals. where then only they'll elevated. And if we see many Puranas and all, it's so much glorified. Somebody is going to heaven, and the plane from heaven comes. Sometime Indra himself personally come for some sages to take them to heaven. So you are good, come to heaven with me, and they go also. And we hear in Ramayana and Mahabharata people going to heaven. And not only that, if you see Krishna is trying is recommending to Arjuna. He says that if you get defeated, then you die in the battlefield, you will go to heaven. And jitva bhokshashe subha. If you win, then you'll enjoy the unrivaled sovereignty over this earth. You'll become a king. In both ways, you are getting benefited. So he's telling going to heaven is a benefit, right? But that is at one level. Two, you want to settle in this metal world. And who is fighting for dharma, he is going to heavenly planets. So it's not something very ordinary thing. It's a big thing. But why it is bad is that person is continue to stay in this metal world. That is bad. All our shastras and Vyasdev came to this conclusion. He gave this conclusion. No, pravrti is not the purpose of life. Nivritti is the purpose of life. All the Vedas, there is so much pravarti marga. All this karma kanda, do this, get this benefit. We are in the path of Nivritti marga. So in the Nivritti marga, two paths are there. One is Shankaracharya's, where he says it's all impersonal. Another Nivritti marga is where bhakti is the highest, achieving prema is the highest. So there is Pravritti Marga, how to settle in them. Even Shankaracharya didn't want people to settle in this world. He gave proper Nivritti Marga only. But in his Nivritti Marga, his end conclusion went wrong because he says it's all impersonal. But in our Nivritti Marga, so in the Nivritti Marga also two parts, right? So now here he says the moon is considered one of the planets of the heavenly kingdom. One can be promoted to this planet by executing different sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literature, such as pious activities in worshipping the demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vows. So these two things are there. Pious activities with rigidity and it is not something very some simple thing. It's quite a tough thing. But one cannot remain there for very long time. Life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years according to the calculation of the demigods. The demigods' time is calculated in such a way that one day, 12 hours is equal to 6 months on this planet. It is not possible to reach the moon by any material vehicles like a Sputnik. It is not. They went somewhere, but it's not moon. They might have gone somewhere, but they don't have access for moon. Access is based on consciousness. That's the social boundaries that are made. It is not based on the boundaries are like even if I want to go to any country in this world, I will not be allowed just directly like that. You need to have proper passport and visas. It is compulsory. Otherwise, there is then how what to speak of going to moon? What type of visa they have? What type of passport they have? That is the passport and visa is pious activities in worshipping demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vow. That is a passport and visa to go to moon planet. It's not just a mechanical vehicle. But persons who are attracted by material enjoyment can go to moon by pious activities. In spite of being promoted to the moon, however, one has to come back to the earth again when the merits of his work is in sacrifice are finished. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. तेतं भुक्त्वा सर्वलोकान् विशोकलोकं विशालं क्षीणे पुण्ये मृत्युलोकं विशन्ति यदा चाहिन्द्रस्यायां सेतेन्तासनो हरि तदा लोकलयं यान्ति तैते ग्रहमेदिनाम् All the planets of the materialistic person, including all the heavenly planets such as the moon, are vanquished, and the Supreme Personality of God, Hari, goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Anantasesh. So, Kapila is telling, Hari, you are going to heaven and enjoying, but just in case if Lord goes to sleep, everything is finished. Why are you taking so much time pass? The materially attached are very eager to promote themselves to heavenly planets such as Moon. There are many heavenly planets to which they aspire just to achieve more and more material happiness by getting a long duration of life and the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment. But the attached person do not know that even if one goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, destruction exists there also. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that one can even go to Brahmaloka, but still he will not find the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. Only by approaching the Lord's abode, Vaikunta, does one not take birth again. So this is there are two kinds of dissolution. So this is dissolutions where when Brahma goes to sleep, all the heavenly planets are dissolved. And Lord goes to sleep, everything is dissolved. ये स्वधर्मणां न दुह्यन्ति धीरा कामार्थहेतवे निस्सङ्गान्यस्तकर्माणा प्रशान्ता शुद्ध एतसः. Those who are intelligent and are purified conscious and are of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness, freed from the modes of material nature. They do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is expected to act. So, this is what we are supposed to do according to the bhakti principles we are to act. The first class example of this type of man is Arjuna. Arjuna is a Kshatriya and his occupation duty was to fight. Generally, kings fight to extend their kingdom, which they rule for sense gratification. But as far as Arjuna is concerned, he declined to fight for his own sense gratification. So very interesting. Killing for Arjuna is devotional service and peace is sense gratification. For Arjuna, for Arjuna, going to forest is sense gratification. But killing is devotional service. So it is very not so easy to understand in that way. Arre, one may say you want to be peaceful, going to the forest and live a peaceful life. No, 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 sense gratification. And he is here and no, he's taking his arrows and slaughtering people, and that too in thousands. That means 1,000 families are going to cry. Arjuna killed 10,000 people per day or something big number. How many families are crying? Somebody's husband, son, brother, and so many people are dead. And Arjuna is making all of them cry. But that is devotional service for him. And going to forest and peacefully staying there is sense gratification. He will be degraded. He said that although he could get a kingdom by fighting with his relatives, he did not want to fight with them. But when he was ordered by Krishna and convinced by the teachings of Bhagavad Gita that his duty was to satisfy Krishna, then he forgot. So then he fought. So main thing is for us to whether fighting or not is not important. Satisfy Krishna is the more important thing. That is actually duty to satisfy. Thus, he fought not for his sense gratification, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So much is there to understand. It's just what Krishna wants. Whether I like it or not, according to the social convention, whether it is peace or not peace, does not matter only. Persons who work for their prescribed duties not for sense gratification but for the gratification of the Supreme Lord are called Nissanga, freed from the influence of modes of material nature. Neshta Karmanam indicates that the results of their activities are given to the Supreme Personality God. Such persons appears to be acting on the platform of their respective duties, but such activities are not performed for personal sense gratification. They are performed for the Supreme Person. So we may be working in the offices, but it is devotional service. Such devotees are called Prashanta, which means completely satisfied. Shuddha Chetasa means Krishna conscious. Their consciousness have been purified in unpurified consciousness one thinks of himself. So this is the problem. And very nice point Prabhupada says, as long as one works for his personal sense gratification, he will always be full of anxiety. That is the difference between ordinary consciousness and Krishna conscious. So, okay, thank you all very much. Any questions, comments? We'll end here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam.